Hi guys. Today let's learn a few of the amazing shortcuts you must know. Let's get started. Shortcut to open Windows Explorer is press Window key and then E. Let's move on to next shortcut to minimize or maximize the window by pressing Window key and then up or down arrow key, or you can also use Window key plus D. There is one more useful shortcut to minimize all the open windows at once by pressing Window key and M. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut to get back the copied histories by pressing Window key along with V. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is everyone's favorite is emoji keyboard, so you can click on Window key and semicolon. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to switch between multiple Windows instance by clicking on Window key plus tab. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is very useful one. Its first use is to open shutdown dialog box and the second use is to close the open document or window or web page. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to take a screenshots easily by pressing Windows plus Shift plus S. This is very useful one. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to create a virtual desktop by pressing Window key plus Control plus D, as well as you can switch between the virtual desktops using Window key plus Control plus left or right arrow. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to lock the PC using Window key plus L. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to restore the closed browser tabs by pressing Ctrl Shift T. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to open quick menu by pressing Window key and X. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to open start menu by pressing Ctrl and Escape or by simply pressing Window key. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to rename any file using F2 key. Now let's move on to next useful shortcut is to refresh or reload the current tab in browser using F5 key. Thank you. See you soon with some interesting technical stuff.